Hello, welcome back. I still don't know what direction I want to take this content. Not yet. I've run now a couple of tester videos. I tried some ASMR. I didn't love it visually. I think the sound went well, but it's a YouTube channel, so I need some good visuals too. Might run another test again on that a little later. So for this video, what I've decided to do is just to teach you a random something. And that random something involves this sweater that I'm wearing. Let me just stand up so you can see it, okay? All right, just a basic turtleneck pink sweater. All right, now, why I want to talk about this particular sweater. One, I am a knitter. I did not make this sweater, but over the years, I have not wanted to part with this sweater, even though it has a hole in it. Hopefully you can see the hole okay. The hole itself, it's about 2 stitches wide and 4 rows, okay? Now, with sweaters, when it gets a hole, what do you do with the sweater? The sweater, I mean, the hole is very small. I'd like to think that most people don't notice it when I wear it, but I notice it, which means somebody notices it as well. So what do you do with a sweater like this when it has a hole in it? I don't know what the average person who cannot knit and does not have equipment does. Probably just kind of has to get rid of it, which is an unfortunate thing. Because I have some knitting skills though, what I intend to do with it eventually when I get the motivation to do so, is to fix the hole. How do you go about fixing a hole in a sweater? The way you do that is you do something called darning it. I have never done this on my own. I know it's a very simple thing to do, and eventually I am going to figure it out and do it. The basics of darning is you take the yarn that you used to create whatever it is you're darning, could be a sock or a sweater in this case, and you create the stitches that are missing, if that makes sense. With sewing, you would take the hole and you like stitch it up together. So in essence, I mentioned that this is 2 stitches wide and 4 rows long. So if I were to sew this, I would be taking these 2 stitches wide and 4 rows long and kind of making them one. I'd be bringing them together and filling in that hole. I'm sorry, not filling in that hole, closing that hole. With darning, instead of closing the gap and losing some of the, what is the word I'm looking for? Coverage, I guess. You actually kind of create more fabric in that space, if that makes any sort of sense. Because knitting in general, what it is you are taking string and creating fabric. That's all that knitting is. It is one big elaborate knot that is fabric that you created. Okay, so when you darn, you fill in the space with fabric that you created, and in this case it would be just a tiny little bit of fabric that I insert into there. So in order to do that on this sweater that is a store-bought sweater, this yarn itself is a little unique. It is a heathered pink yarn. I mean the material's written on the inside, not necessarily important to me, because I would be very hard pressed to find this yarn, or even to find a yarn that is kind of close. So that gives me one of 2 options. I can either, well, 3 options. I can either deal with the hole, which is what I've done so far. I can find a yarn that's close and try it, or I can find a yarn that is that could be used almost as like an accent and darn the hole and then create other, like, I guess, spots on the sweater all around to make it look like the color pop from the darned hole is intentional. So like if I wanted to do like a teal, that would be a contrast or something, or maybe even like a purple that kind of matches, and just have like little spots all over where there's this accent yarn. For me, I can't think of a yarn that I would like to use in this sweater that isn't an exact match. Maybe a gray, maybe, but the sweater itself, it feels it's not a sweater that I want to make look patchy. So what I am going to do, and I don't know how successful I'm going to be at it, but I'm going to do it because I don't want to wear the whole anymore really, and I don't want to discard the sweater for one little hole. I am going to take this sleeve apart, okay? So in this sleeve, I'm going to turn it inside out a little bit so you can see. When you buy something that's a knitted something from a store, I'm sure you've heard of like seamless t-shirts, right? The way that those are, they're machine knitted, and they are knitted in a tube shape rather than knitted in a flat fabric that is then sewn together, that has a seam together, right? So this particular sweater, the way I know that this sleeve part was not made in a tube is it has this seam here. So this sleeve was made as a flat piece of fabric and then sewn together. So in order for me to darn it, what I would need to do is unstitch that seam a little bit, okay? And then unravel the cuff. I just need maybe, I don't know, I'd probably just do a few feet worth of yarn from the cuff in order to darn it appropriately, because I don't need much yarn in order to darn it. And then I need to, once I get the yarn out of the cuff itself, I need to figure out what needle size I'd need, do the darning, and then re-stitch up the cuff and re-sew it. Then I have to go to the other cuff, unstitch it a little bit, unravel it a little bit, and then tie it back up and sew it back up so that they match. It is a process that I am, for the sake of adventure, looking forward to, but it's going to be, it feels like it's a lot of work for a sweater, but I don't want to get rid of the sweater. So yeah, that is how you might go about darning a sweater that, or anything that you own that is a knitted material, something that has a hole in it. In theory, you could do the same thing with a t-shirt. You would need quite tiny needles to do that, but yes. So now you know what darning is, and if you have a sweater with a hole, now you kind of have a place to begin to repair the sweater if you don't want to get rid of it.